Hello, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live. I'm just making sure that, um, yep, looks like we're all on board today. So things are going well with technology today. That's kind of a shocker, but there you go. Um, I'm again welcoming you to Holy Moments and Holy Places. If you don't know who I am, my name is Crystal Getz. I work for Auburn First United Methodist Church and for Messy Church and a bunch of other things. But my passion really is to tell you about God and to help you understand how to connect with God, and that even the simple things in your life can help connect you. And we're doing a series called Holy Moments and Holy Places where I share some of my moments where I have met God in some of the strangest places, but also some of the holiest places in the world. And we have covered from St. Margaret's Chapel in Edinburgh. We've been to the York Minster in York, England. We've been to Paris, France, to Notre Dame Cathedral. And today we are going to be headed to Switzerland to the Kirche Würzbrunnen, which is in a little area. It's called the Emmental. They make great cheese there. Just saying, but there's a little town called Kuderhusi that is has a restaurant that sits kind of up on top of a hill, and you have a beautiful view of the Alps from up there. Many of the Alps, anyway, not all of the Alps, obviously. And near there is this lovely, very old church that it is very, it's kind of isolated. It's all by itself. One of the technology things that I had happen, I always seem to have technology issues, um, are one of the things I had happen was I could not find my pictures. And I always try to use my pictures so I can speak to my experiences through my own pictures. Today I had to borrow some off the internet because all my pictures happen to be residing on a hard drive that belongs to somebody. Not a person, but an entity. I won't name them, but I have to try to get that back because I ordered pictures from them, and you can't download it the other way. And I'm just not sure where the rest of those pictures are. I have them in my photo albums. I've scrapbooked them already. That's been done, but I need to get those back. So this was a really good God incident that happened trying to get a hold of those pictures. I do have some. They've been scrapbooked, so they're kind of a collage. And then I have a couple that I borrowed from a lovely man, Michael Lehman, uh, on Creative Commons that I have made note of his great gift to all of us who need those photos. So I'm going to show you a picture of Kirche Würzbrunnen. Here it is. And it sits out in the middle of basically a field with forest surrounding the entire thing. And it's really all by itself out there. It's just a gorgeous place. I don't know if you can tell by looking at it, but that steeple reaches straight up to heaven. It's pretty great. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about that today, and I'm gonna be sharing the holy moment that I had there with my family. Um, the country of Switzerland is just a beautiful place. I don't know if you've been there, but it's very green. It's actually a lot like the state of Washington in a lot of ways. There's less highways and roads, and there's so many houses here in Western Washington. It's a little bit more rural there. To give you an example of the size of Switzerland, it's a very small country. Um, the USA, now get this, is over 23,000% larger than Switzerland. Okay, Switzerland has like 8 million citizens. I think that's, I don't know how many we have in Seattle, but I think it's, it's not a lot less, it seems like. So that's one thing. I'm gonna try to. I understand somebody here is watching and they've comment. Oh, hello, Mikhail. Nice to see you. I am. able today to see my comments, so I'm pulling those up right now and um, trying to get better at technology. It can really be an earth-shattering thing. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for that video. I was going to watch it, and then I ran out of time, so I'm going to watch it right after I'm done with this. So I'm very excited. So anyway, back to Switzerland. I'm going to show you some pictures. Okay, so let's go first of all. Okay, this is the original picture that we saw. Okay, now this is the inside of the church. All right, and it is gorgeous. It's not from the outside. I mean, you kind of might look at the outside and think it's a big church. It's not a big church. It's actually kind of a small church, more of a chapel size. Now, this is half of the church space. And if you look up on the ceiling, you can see carvings in the ceiling. Mikhail, I'll bet you guys have churches like this in Sweden. They're just gorgeous. They have frescoes on the walls, and also they have Bible verses in German. Well, it's in Schweizerdeutsch, which is Swiss German, all over the walls. And it is just decorated like you wouldn't believe. And everything is wooden. It is so warm and cozy in there. I can't even begin to tell you. And then this is, sorry about the flipping through. This is the other side. So I'm looking from the altar back down to the other side of the church with the choir loft and that beautiful pipe organ they have. Can you see that? And again, it's all wood. Yes, I kind of figured you probably did. It's just gorgeous. We just don't have things like this here in the States. So for me, and especially in Auburn, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's my very unruly cats that do not get along. So if you hear hissing and carrying on in the background, that's what that is. But you can see the love that has gone into the building of this place. And it's just stupendous place. All right, and then I wanted to show you, okay, so these are some of the pictures that I put together. This is a scrapbook page that I did. In this collage of pictures, obviously there's a picture of the church from outside. There's one of the Bible sayings or prayers that's up on the wall. I think this one is actually from Luke. And then the white part with the black sort of a window shape in the middle of it is actually the exposed timbers of the original church building that was there. It burned in 1494, and that timber is still blackened from the burning of it, but they were able to save bits and pieces of the church and did so. And so this is one of the areas where you can actually see the burnt timbers of the church. And then the graveyard there. Now, something that I should mention about Switzerland that you may or may not know is that they happen to have, I guess I'll kind of move this over here if that's okay. I don't know if you can see that or not, but is they don't have a lot of land. It's a small country, and land is very precious and very expensive there. And it takes quite a long while even to get a building permit to build a home. My husband's relatives, you may not know it, but he, my son, and my daughter all have dual citizenships with Switzerland. They are do that because anybody, a Swiss living abroad that registers their children, their offspring, can claim citizenship in Switzerland. And so they have done that. And anytime you move or you have to let the Swiss consulate know where you are because you're considered a Swiss citizen abroad. And so we have citizenship rights. So one of the things in Switzerland, because they have very little land, is that their burial practices are very different from ours. Maybe you have this in Sweden too. I don't know, Mikhail, but they don't have enough land to keep historic burials. It just can't happen. Some people are cremated, yes, but um, like in olden days, like I've talked about before, where they take once a graveyard was full, they'd take all the bones, they'd put them in the charnel house, dry them out, and then build a bone fire, which is where we get the term bonfire, and then sprinkle the ashes over the churchyard because it is hallowed ground. Well, they do very much the same in Switzerland, and they actually in this one of the little cemeteries near where my husband's family lives in Steinen, um, they bury them vertically in the ground like this instead of like this. And then they bury them in a circular pattern from the inside out, like this, around and around and around in the churchyard. And then they, after a time, the oldest burials are in the middle. Then they dig those up and they start all over again. And then I believe they do the charnel house process. All right, so you're getting a sense of what religious life is in Switzerland. It's pretty great actually, but it is also very different from what we do here. Okay, I'm going to cut myself off there and go to the next slide. So this is again this is the pulpit. You have to walk up this little staircase to get to the pulpit. And this is some of the beautiful artwork that's on the walls there. So I'm going to put this, oops, that's not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. And this is what I wanted. Thank you. I'm still getting used to it. Sorry about that. So just a little history about the church is that this was originally a church that was on a pilgrimage route, and it was a pilgrimage for Saint Wolfgang, who I don't really know much about, but I'm going to find out because I'm very curious now. But it was also under the patronage of Saint Stephen. So it's a very, if you don't know much about the Catholic Church, you may know about Saint Stephen, the martyr who was stoned, who was one of Jesus's disciples. Well, yes, a disciple. Anyway, so it is currently owned by a local monastery in Rothenbach. So they had a fire in 1494, and the church was completely rebuilt at that time. So the newest parts of the church are actually from 1779, which, of course, we were just ending our Revolutionary War at that time here in the States. So think about how long ago that was. That was more than 200 years ago. Okay. That's the newest part of this church. There are parts of that church that are still from the 1400s, so over 500 years old. And some of these stories that I'm going to tell you were told to me by David's relatives who have lived in that area for a couple hundred years. So they do know the area very well. And this was a place, apparently, the church was a place where the local people could go. Oh, okay, you have your burial places for 25 years. Thank you for letting me know that. That's really interesting. But their burial practices are very different all over the world. And just because a country does it a certain way does not make it right or wrong. It is cultural, and it belongs to that place. And it is what is right and good for that place. So, so whatever that is, we have people. I've been to churchyards where there's, the oldest grave is like 1500. In some of the churches I've been in, there's burials from 1,000 years ago. So, it's just depends on who you are, where you are, and all of that. And it's all interesting to me. So this church was in such a place where it sits basically in the middle of a field with trees surrounding it. Okay. Oh, that's okay. I know about autocorrect. Ugh, drives me crazy. So it's easily defensible. So it was a great place for people to go when they were under attack or under siege. So it became a place of refuge for the local people. Now, this was told to me by David's aunt, who recently passed away. But she told me that at one point the wolves were very bad. I don't know if you could see. Let me turn the picture back on here. so you can see. But the whole thing is fenced all the way around. And honestly, there's nothing around here for about a quarter to a half a mile around this church. But it's sealed off so that some of the wildlife that lives near there can't get to the graves and eat the flowers and things like that. And this church is completely unlocked and open pretty much all the time. It's a sacred space. It is open to all. There was not a vicar, a verger, a priest, anyone around there when we happened to be there. It was quiet. It was peaceful, and it was solitary. It just felt really, really good to be there. So they used to have a wolf problem, apparently, back in the way back when the church was built in the 1400s, 1300s. And they used to hang, there was a wooden church there beforehand, and they used to hang nets from the ceiling to capture the wolves with. I thought that was really a strange story, and I tried to verify it. I tried to look up information about it. I could not find a single thing about it. This church is really just a country church. It's not in a big city. It's not historically. It is a monument. It's a national Swiss monument, but it isn't a place where droves of people go, and that's what makes it so special. My holy moment at this church came because of the quiet and the isolation. There wasn't any, as I said, there wasn't anybody there to greet us or anybody to tell us about the history of the building. It was just us. It was an empty, beautiful country church with a quiet churchyard. And it was in that stillness that I could hear the people of the past singing hymns in praise of God in Schweizerdeutsch. I could hear it. I mean, it was silent, right? But I could hear it. It was in the place. It was like it had soaked into the wood of the building, because it had been done there for so many hundreds of years by thousands of people over the course of time. And it just was such a holy place to me. I could feel God's presence there. It was very, very real to me. And it was such a beautiful place. I visited it twice. I went there with just my husband before we were even married, actually. We were engaged and we wanted to meet the family. I wanted to meet the family. He wanted to introduce me. And then we went with our children a long time later, 14 years later. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We were married. I beg your pardon. We were married the first time I went there, and we were expecting our first child. So it was really, really a special place. And I had to go back because I had remembered what a special place it was. And I'm sorry, my dog is caught in my, Lily, come on now. She was caught in the wires of my lamp by my desk here. I have no idea. She could knock into something, and I don't know what's happening. Okay, we're back on here. Sorry about that. It's always got to be something around here, right? All right, but it was beyond quiet in that place, and there aren't any people living near it. I mean, the closest home to there is probably about a half a mile away. I mean, it's very isolated. I had a picture of it in my yeah, in my stock of pictures that I couldn't find from this place called Die Turm. It's a big tower that you can go climb up and look down, and we had taken a picture of the church from there, and oh my gosh, I mean, you can just see how isolated it is. Beautiful place. Anyway, it was just a precious place. It's a country where land is precious, and here they have devoted this whole area to this church. That says something, don't you think? It says something about how precious God is to them there in that place. That there's been a church there for, oh gosh, since 1148. So going on, 1,000 years, there's been a church of some kind there or another. That church has been there since around the late 1400s, early 1500s. So it means something. It means something to those people. And it's a place for them to come and commune with God. They still have mass or church on Sunday, and they don't have a lot of I mean, like, they don't have a social hall or anything like that, or a place to eat. It is a place to worship and a place to bury people. Outside, let me see if I can pull this picture up again really quick. Outside here, my writing is covering it. Let me see if I can pull up this other thing for you so that you can see it. But right over underneath that tree, there's something called a lich gate. And I don't know if you know what a lich gate is, but a lich gate is like a covered gate. And it was originally built so that as families who were waiting, or the gravediggers who were waiting to bury somebody, had a place that was covered to wait. And I can't even tell you how many pictures I came across of the Kirche Würzbrunnen, I'm sorry, that were in the snow. They get a lot of snow there because, I mean, you're in the Emmental. You're getting up there in the foothills of the Alps. So it's just such a beautiful place. And this Lich Gate is actually, to me, it is an invitation to come in, experience God in this place. And I sure did. I think my family did too. We had I couldn't leave Switzerland. We did it the night before we were leaving for Paris the next day. I kind of insisted that David's aunt take us to the church because I wanted to see it again so badly, because I remembered how beautiful it was, and it was so worth it. She drove like a maniac down these little one-lane Swiss mountain roads. It was crazy. I was praying the entire time, to be honest, so that brought me even closer to God. But I hope that you have enjoyed this little taste of Switzerland. If you haven't been, go. It's a wonderful place. When we're able, of course. I know nobody's going anywhere right now, and that's a good thing. We all want to get well. Things are going well here in the U.S. I think it feels a little bit like a weight has been lifted off of all of us. We feel a little bit like the bad times are behind us. I'm sorry, I feel like I have a hair on my face after the dog situation. I don't know. Yeah, I know. It's crazy times around here at the Getz Family Ranch. So I hope y'all are doing well. I hope that God is blessing you, and that you see the blessings. There's little miracles that happen every day all around us, and we just have to open our eyes and see what God is trying to do. I hope y'all stay well. I'll see you on Sunday for worship, and I hope you'll stop by, because a lot of my friends, including Mikhail, are going to be there sending us a message from around the world of some of their special songs and messages that they like to use in their church congregation. So take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye. Oops, I can't.